Parents of babies that won't sleep in their crib, this is for you. Are you stressed out because your baby isn't sleeping in their crib and not getting the rest they need? You've tried a bunch of things to get your baby to sleep in the crib and it's just not working. After teaching thousands of babies to love their cribs, I know this is also possible for your baby. I'm going to tell you the one reason why your baby hates the crib and what you can do about it. So, if your baby isn't sleeping in their crib and not getting enough rest, they may miss out on critical rest for their health and their well-being. Be sure to listen to the end for a surefire solution. So let's jump right in. You've tried everything to help your child sleep. You've read the books, done the courses, listened to the influencers, and it seems like no one in your house has slept since the baby was born. I understand your struggle and I'm here to help. If you're frustrated with sleep advice that ends in another restless night for your family, it's time to get some sleep. Welcome to the Sleeping Through the Night podcast. I'm Joanna Inks, a seasoned pediatric sleep coach with over 14 years of experience who's successfully guided thousands of families through their children's sleep journeys.
Hi, and welcome to episode 1 of Sleeping Through the Night. I'm your host, Joanna Inks, and I am so excited that you are here today. Thank you for joining me. And today we're talking about a cribtastrophe. So, what do you do if you're just convinced that your baby hates the crib and will never, ever sleep there? So, we're most of my clients before we started working together. So, this is common that they just think their babies hate the crib and they won't sleep there. I recently worked with a 4-month-old that had never, ever, ever slept independently in their crib ever before, had always been in mom and dad's arms or in bed with them. And every time they tried to put baby in the crib, baby cried the house down and they were just so upset and didn't know what to do about it. They were also spending about an hour and a half to 2 hours every single night trying to get this baby to sleep. And when we started working together, I felt so bad for this family. So they were really in a crisis. Nobody was sleeping and baby was taking forever to get to sleep. Wouldn't sleep in the crib, ended up in their bed. Nobody was sleeping well. Baby was up all night long. But when we taught this baby to sleep independently and do that journey to sleep on their own, I'm happy to report that this baby now loves the crib. So the bedtime routine is really short and sweet. Nap time routine is short and sweet. Baby gets in the crib, loves the crib. And this can happen all in like a few short weeks. It's amazing to watch. And this family has been completely transformed. So many babies hate the crib and for good reason. So they really have no idea what they're supposed to do in there. They're just not used to it. So over the years, I really found that babies fall into two categories when it comes to their cribs. And we're going to talk about both of those today. So one is that your baby used to maybe sleep great in the crib and then something changed and now suddenly they just want to sleep on you or with you all the time. So babies can be really hard to figure out. Like just when they're sleeping great in their crib, they have a terrible time going to bed or some short non-existent naps. And rather than being consistent and sticking to a routine, of keeping them in their crib, we try to make changes to help our baby sleep. And then when you try to go back to the crib, the baby's not having any part of it. You've created a new normal and that's all they want. The other like kind of camp that people fall into is that you've tried many times to put your baby in the crib with disastrous result where baby screams and cries. Then you give in and going back to, sleeping with baby or holding baby for sleep. So if your baby has really spent very little time in the crib, it may not know what to do once it's in there. So most parents, especially in the beginning, rock or bounce their baby to sleep or almost asleep and then put them in the crib, kind of hoping that they will just sleep peacefully. And either one of these scenarios usually end in kind of one of two ways. Like baby immediately starts screaming once they go in there, or two, they wake up 30 minutes later and are pretty grumpy about a short nap or a false start at bedtime. So falling asleep is a journey, and babies really need to learn the entire journey from awake to asleep on their own. So if your baby's over, 3 months old, putting them down really drowsy or putting them down asleep will fail almost every single time. If you are still getting away with that, then you are luckier than a lot of people, but most people don't get away with that for a lot longer than the 3-month mark. I want to talk about too, like a few things like that's not causing your baby to hate the crib. So a few things is like It's not the mattress. Your mattress is fine. Your sheets are soft enough. Your baby's not scared of the dark or afraid to be alone or any of the other reasons why we think our baby might not like the crib. We always want a reason for our children's lack of sleep, and we can come up with some pretty strange ones. I had a 3 month old, parents of a 3 month old tell me that he had such bad nightmares that he could not sleep unless he was held. And that's why he hated his crib because every time he was in there, he had nightmares. Well, when we really taught this baby to have some independent skills, in a few short weeks, he was sleeping like a champ in the crib, no nightmares, amazing. So it really falls in just like teaching your baby, independent sleep skills, and that helps them in turn kind of love their sleep space. So I said that I was going to mention the one reason why your baby doesn't like the crib. And the one reason is because they don't know how to sleep. And it's not the crib, it's not the sheets, it's not the mattress. It's that they just don't know how to sleep. They don't know how to sleep there. So humans, even really tiny humans, are really protective of our sleep environment. So if all they know is sleeping with you or on you, and suddenly you want them to sleep somewhere else without tears, it's just not going to happen. So many parents resort to motion sleep in a swing or a stroller or a car for babies of all ages. And it's really important to understand that motion sleep absolutely helps a baby go to sleep, but it also doesn't require any sleep skills. So, although your baby's getting sleep, they aren't really learning how to sleep. And sleep is a skill. Sleep is not unlike learning to swim or learning to ride a bike, it's a skill. And a baby that constantly sleeps in motion will always be dependent on that motion for sleep and will find it difficult to sleep in any other way. So, what I really like to do for my families is put together a clear, consistent plan that really helps their baby learn how to sleep. So, this is how we can teach our baby to love the crib. So, I said I was going to tell you how you can do that. So, what I do is I customize my client's sleep plan specifically for their baby's temperament, and for their parenting style. I am a really big believer, you're going to hear me say this over and over as you listen to me, that there's not just one way to teach a baby to love his or her crib. There's a way that will work for your family. So when you have a really clear, consistent plan and someone cheering you on, like me, answering any questions that you have about the plan, keeping you on track, it really becomes a win-win situation. So your child can learn to love the crib with minimal upset, and you'll see amazing results in a few short days. If your baby is under 3 months old and really struggling to fall asleep in the crib, picking them up and walking them around until they're calmer before trying again can be a helpful way to kind of get them used to the crib. If your baby's over 3 months old, then picking them up and putting them down becomes really less effective. But there are so many other ways we can teach you to support your baby as they learn to sleep in their crib. So, teaching your child to sleep will teach them to love their crib. And that really is the bottom line, is that the one reason why they don't love their crib is because they don't know how to sleep. And when you teach them to sleep, then they love their crib. So, like with anything, you need to be consistent and you need to be patient, and you have to have a plan in place that works for your family. So, making sure that your baby's had enough awake time is really crucial and successful, because sleep pressure is what builds up during your baby's awake windows. And if it's insufficient, they're going to have a really hard time falling asleep, and it will be so much harder for them to learn to, fall asleep independently. So, if you are confused about your baby's sleep, you are not alone. Infant sleep is complicated. There are so many moving parts and pieces that need to be aligned so that your baby will sleep well. When I work with a family, we work on the entire 24-hour feed sleep schedule, because what happens during the day and what happens at night, they go together. And what happens during the day really does affect nighttime sleep. And you want to have that daytime schedule, the daytime feed sleep schedule, really aligned so that when they go into bedtime, they're not overtired, because what happens in the day really does impact the night. So that is what I do. I teach you about the different parts and pieces of your child's sleep. I explain exactly how and what to do to teach them to sleep well, and I support you every step of the way. So don't be afraid to ask for help if you're struggling with your baby's sleep. I offer a complimentary discovery call so that you can share your specific sleep struggles, and I can explain how I can help your family get the rest that you need. So, if you want your baby to love the crib and love to sleep, this is where to start. Start with a complimentary discovery call. You can book it today, and the link is below.